I want to take you at least, straight to the panel I've got with me today. Angus Geddes, Managing Director of Fat Profits, and Geoffrey Garrett, CEO of the US Studies Centre in Sydney. Gentlemen, you just heard Jim there. Phony rally, he said. Everyone is liquidating pretty much everything. It just seems to be profit of doom territory. Can you see any upside?
Look, I think the rally we're seeing over there, Carson's going to go probably for another 2 to 3 quarters. But we'll see more selling in the new year as the United States economy starts to slow down and moves into recession.
All right. Geoffrey, you've been following this one closely, of course, from where you sit quite uniquely. You've kind of said there'll be more fizz than pop when, presumably, if the polls are right, Obama gets the keys to the White House. What is it specifically that you're so, kind of lackluster about?
Well, the fizz and pop metaphor might not have been a great one, but what I meant by it was simply that the constraints Barack Obama would be under as a new president will be incredible. So you have sky-high expectations on this guy who's going to confront an economic position, probably the toughest in a generation, plus 2 wars abroad with an expanding, not a contracting war on terrorism agenda, and facing an inherited deficit that's going to move towards $1 trillion and public debt that'll almost be as big as the US economy. So the world is looking for transformational leadership. I'm just not sure that Barack Obama is going to have the tools in his pocket to provide that transformation.
And yet, Angus, we know that there are people in the wings. He's said to be a good delegator. We know, for example, Paul Volcker. Now, just tell me about Paul Volcker.
Well, Paul Volcker's the inflation fighter of the 80s. He was the guy that came in, took over the Federal Reserve when inflation was out of control in the United States. And he raised interest rates to, 12, 13, 14%. So widely accredited to have solved the inflation problem in the 80s. So I think, Volcker, Warren Buffett's also on the advisory panel. He has got some good advisors.
What Buffett wants to sort of be straight-jacketed?
Well, I think that, the more intelligent people Obama's got from the business community and, people who've been successful, the better.
47, Geoffrey. That's it's kind of wet behind the ears to lead the world's largest economy, the most powerful man in the world. That's been an interesting thing of this campaign, isn't it? 2 generations colliding. Why has McCain not drawn on that experience on the economy more than he could have?
Well, the age gap, the experience gap is a fascinating one. What Obama has done, I think, quite successfully in the past couple of months is deliver or shore up his argument that it's not experience that matters, it's judgment that matters. And I think his selection of economic advisors underscores that, his selection of Joe Biden, the way he's been this calm, cool, collected guy in the presidential debates. So it's not rock star messiah Barack Obama, it's a really smart guy, a sensible guy who's listening to the best minds. That's the image that he's projecting, I think, to the independent voter in America and probably to the financial markets and to the world.
And briefly on Biden, because that old expression, a heartbeat away from the presidency. Are you satisfied? Because he has been in the shadows. He's been conspicuous by his absence. What's going on?
Well, of course, the reason for that isn't that he's unusually quiet. In fact, Biden's a guy who's willing to talk a lot on most subjects most of the time. It's the fact that below the top of the ticket, everyone's attention has been focused on Sarah Palin, but really because of the sort of the Sarah Palin phenomenon rather than this question, gee, what would she do when she was a heartbeat from the presidency?
Mm-hmm. And Angus, were you kind of won over by that kind of novel decision to bring her into the campaign, and yet she's floundered?
Not really. I think it was very much a knee-jerk reaction by the McCain party, and probably the nail in his coffin as it relates to his presidential campaign. I think that the only thing that McCain's really got going for him is the fact that he has got the experience, and of course he's rolling over the tax cuts the Bush administration implemented, sort of 4 years ago. And I think that's probably the critical issue, because Obama's going to let those tax cuts expire, and I'm not quite sure whether the United States being in a recession, this is the time to be raising taxes.
All right, let's talk spend when we come back. We'll take a short break on the record. Do stay with us.